Ladies and gentlemen, joining me now is a man who's an absolutely legendary human on the television. He's the voice and face of college football, and it's a handsome face and a beautiful voice to be that. This weekend, he's at the Penn State-Ohio State whiteout game. You can see him every Saturday morning on College Game Day, delivering the goods about college football week in and week out. I met him for the first time at the ESPN College Football Awards whenever I was nominated for the Ray Guy Award. Ray Guy got it wrong, didn't give me the award, but the weekend was a blast. A true gentleman, a man's man. Ladies and gentlemen, Kirk Herbstreit.
What's up, big man? How you doing?
I'm excellent. How are you, Kirk? Your life is awesome. It's so fun to watch you.
Well, I appreciate it. I enjoy watching you as well. I'm fortunate. I remember you actually playing in college. I know you had a brilliant NFL career, but you also obviously got it done very well in the good old days back in Morgantown, West Virginia. You guys were always good teams back then.
We had a lot of fun. Pat and Steve Slayton, I rode their coattails to a lot of wins. I walked out of there with an all-time point scorer leader, and then I just
and, you know, if you think about it, man, Rich Rod was, I mean, I don't know if you're a fan or not, but he was ahead of the game with this whole up-tempo and wearing the different wristbands and being a crazy guy on the sideline. And he was one of the first guys to really make that style of offense go. And, you know, he did it, you know, with smaller schools and then as an offensive coordinator at Clemson. And then, of course, when he had Pat White and Steve Slayton, I mean, that was about as good as it gets. But I think a lot of people started to copy that offense and what they were doing, and now we see it all over the country every week.
I think he would tell you that too, by the way.
Oh, I know he would.
Kirk, I want to dig into you a little bit. So you were Ohio State starting quarterback your senior year. Your dad was also Ohio State Buckeye captain. So when you become 1996, you started doing this College Game Day thing. I believe is for how hard is it to keep the bias out of it for being an Ohio? Because I know the Ohio State cult is a strong one. How hard is it for you week in and week out to do that?
You know, man, it's weird for me because I've never really had a problem with that. I just from day one, you know how you put, like, as I'm talking to you, I just took a break from getting ready for the weekend, and you put so much time into your preparation that when you call the game, you just see two teams and you talk about the teams. And last year was a classic example. We got down to the Final Four and who should be the Final Four, and there was all the talk about it looks like it might come down to Ohio State and Alabama. And Alabama didn't even go to the SEC championship game. They lost to Auburn. How in the heck could they go in? And Ohio State just won the Big Ten championship against Wisconsin. And they have to ask us, which always the tough spot, who should be the four teams? And the easy thing to say, being a former Ohio State guy, as you said, and captain, and my dad was a captain, my wife is a cheerleader at Ohio State, is to say Ohio State. And I've never really looked at it that way. If it's Ohio State, then I would say it's Ohio State. And if it's not, based on what I think, then in that case, I said it was Alabama. I thought Alabama had kind of hit some skids early with some injuries and then got better and better and better. And despite not even making it to Atlanta, I thought they were a better team between Alabama and Ohio State. And so I said Alabama. And so, you know, I don't know why it's not hard for me. I love Ohio State when I'm not on the air. My kids are brainwashed Buckeyes. We love the Buckeyes. But man, when I'm on the air, I just talk about objectively, like whatever I think.
That's because you're a professional, Kirk. Now, you just mentioned the Final Four or whatever, the playoff system. There for so long, the world, BCS, ESPN, even you guys on TV were talking about how a playoff would ruin college football. Now we're at a 14 playoff, and now everybody wants more teams into the playoff. Everybody wants more. How does the college football world kind of solve this problem of their fans wanting more and more and more and more at all times?
Well, you know, you were a player, and I think if you talk to the players, even during the BCS era, most of them would say that they would have wanted some kind of playoff to be able to kind of find out who the best teams really were. The players wanted to play the games. So the kind of politics prevented that from happening. And then finally it just became so obvious that they had to do something that we finally got a 14 playoff. And you're right. I'm a guy that I love regular season college football, like end of August all the way to early December. I'm all in every week. I'm an NFL fan, but I really don't get that way for the NFL until like week 13, week 14. You start seeing the teams. This team needs to win their last two. Maybe they win the tiebreaker, that kind of thing. But the urgency doesn't really hit me for the NFL till like November and December. And in college football, it's the entire season. And I've always been big on, if we go to a playoff, I don't want college football to become college basketball. And I'm a diehard college basketball fan, but I really don't care until March Madness.
Yep.
Duke can beat North Carolina, whatever. They're going to drop one spot in the rankings, doesn't even matter until we get to the tournament. And I didn't want college football to become like that, and I still don't. So with that being said, I've always thought 4 would be plenty. But now after watching it for 4 years, I feel like maybe 6, or if you want to go to 8, as long as we can hold on to the regular season still being important and still being relevant, then I'm okay with expanding it to 6 or possibly 8 teams. 6 I think would be ideal. But if you went to 8, I don't think we'd lose the regular season and the importance of it. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, it absolutely does. I think it makes a lot of sense. And I never really thought about it that way, as college basketball doesn't really matter until March Madness. In the conference tournaments, sometimes you'll see a team make a run, but the regular season means absolutely nothing. But with that being said, I believe college football, the reason why the anticipation is high all year is because of the atmospheres, the environments that you get thrusted into in the middle of. College football is a much different ball game than the NFL. What's your favorite environment you got to experience that kind of went like, it made you go like, oh shit, I did not expect this place to be like this, if that makes sense?
An oh shit moment would be Missouri. And you never, like I just said Missouri and you're like, what?
Yep.
But when Chase Daniel was at Missouri, I'm telling you, that really surprised me, just the campus itself and just the feel of it. I wasn't expecting that. But my crazy, I love going there place is actually where I'm going this weekend. Penn State, it's a whiteout, and they're ranked in the top 5 or top 10 in the country, and they're playing an opponent that's in the top 5 or top 10, I will challenge anybody, anywhere, other than maybe the Premier League over in Europe, to find a better sports atmosphere than what you'll see this weekend when Ohio State goes into Penn State. It's as good as there is, not just in college football, but in sports.
See, there's your Ohio State bias right there.
Not Ohio State. I'm saying the whiteout in Penn State, not Ohio State.
Yeah, it's because Ohio State's there. We get it. 9 a.m. in the morning. Those college kids are lit back there. Do you guys ever just take a moment, look around, and be like, you know what? I hope my kids never go to college.
Oh my gosh. Those they a lot of times, man, they spend the night in tents out around the set so they get a good spot to be on TV. And they're I maybe when I was younger, I might have kind of looked around and looked at how crazy everybody was. And at this point, Lee Corso told me a long time ago, he's 82 or 83 years old, and he told me when I first started, whatever you do, don't look back. Don't look back at people. Whether they're saying good things or bad things, just keep looking forward. But before we come on the air, everybody's yelling and holding up signs and acting crazy, and we love to be involved with the crowd as much as we can. I mean, that we have great fans, and honestly, I'm not just saying this. Our crowd at our show is almost like another person sitting at the set. I've seen other studio shows try to mimic what we're fortunate to have on College Game Day, and it's just different. It feels almost like made for TV kind of crowd. Our crowd is real and as authentic as you can hope for everywhere we go. And so, we have a good time with them. But, a lot of them are hammered, without a doubt, especially the ones that spend the night there.
The WWE back in the day used to have signs up everywhere. Every single arena they went in, there was signs. And then, obviously, there's some people that ruin it, right? There's some people that put up terrible signs. Do you guys have somebody who's there just strictly looking for bad signs and then getting rid of them like the WWE has?
Yeah, I mean, we have guys that try to look for things that are above and beyond crazy that shouldn't probably be on TV. But also, part of what we like to do is keeping some of those signs, some of the edgy signs that people might think that we're offended by, and let people know we're not. It's okay. If you want to put something out there that, if you're cussing or saying something like that, then they'll probably take it down. But if you're trying to do something and you think it's a good one, you're probably going to see our security people not take it down. Most people have kind of figured it out, so they'll put like "Go Lions" on one side, and then as soon as we go on the air, they kind of flip the sign and it says whatever it is that they want to say. So there's just so many signs. I'm talking thousands of signs. So it's very hard, I think, for our guys to point out all the different signs that are offensive to possibly the viewers at home.
Describe Lee Corso as a human, because as somebody that watches it, I'm worried he's going to die up there. And he is an electric human being who it sounds like you are very good friends with. What is it like to work with Lee Corso week in and week out for all these years as just a human who's 80 plus years old, still doing it live TV?
Yeah, first I'll tell you this. I have been with him for 23 years, and he's not just 80, 82, or 83 years old. The thing to remember when you watch him is the guy had a stroke about, I want to say 8 or 9 years ago. And when he had the stroke, I don't know if you guys know of anybody, relative or friends or anybody that's ever had a stroke, but sometimes it affects your speech. And in his case, it did. Like, he could barely speak after he had his stroke. And so it happened in the spring. So he had all summer and early part of the fall to try to get ready to go on TV to be able to try to talk. And he was in all kind of speech therapy, and he worked his way through it. And it's still, if you ever watch our show, you can still see sometimes it affects him. People think, take shots at him. Oh, he's so old. Look at how he's talking. But honestly, if you hung out with Lee, you would swear he's 82, but he's playing like 60. Like, he is unbelievable as far as if he didn't have a stroke, the shape he is in, he's walking around these airports carrying his own bags. Think about your grandparents or people that are in their mid-70s, get up to be the latter part of the 70s, early 80s. It's incredible to see what he does and how he's able to kind of maintain himself with all the travel that we do and the work that we put in. So, but at the end of the day, man, he's one of the funniest guys. You would love him. You and him, you guys, you should have him on your show because you would absolutely love his energy, his personality, and he's the king, man. In his prime, there's nobody better at zingers and impromptu thoughts and taking shots at people. He's legendary, and one of the best, to me, one of the best entertainers in television we've ever had.
Oh, that's beautiful. Speaking of your travel, you just mentioned there, you'll do game day in the morning, and then you're calling a game on the other side of the country. What is your weekly schedule? Do you take Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and just kind of relax to kind of gear up for the weekend? What is the Kirk Herbstreit?
So I have 4 boys, and 3 of them, I live in Nashville, and 3 of them play high school football. I have 2 that are seniors and 1 is sophomore. And so I told ESPN for years, when my boys were playing like 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, I said, guys, if they ever get to a point where they're actually playing on Friday nights, it's going to be hard for me not to be there. So I just want to plant that seed now, 3 or 4 years out. And sure enough, around their junior years, they started to play. And so what I do is I typically prepare, Sunday and Monday is just kind of like, I watch your stuff a lot of times on Sundays because I need a good laugh. And honestly, I love what you do with that stuff.
I appreciate it.
And it gives a totally different way of watching NFL games. So I kind of hang out. I'm kind of in and out of NFL games. And then Monday's prep day, phone calls, all that. And then do the same thing Tuesday, Wednesday. And then Thursday, I leave and go to wherever I'm going to call the game. And I'll go there, go to practice, hang out there with the coaches and players, go Friday meetings with College Game Day. We tape 2 or 3 segments for Sports Center and different things. And then usually around 3 o'clock, I'll fly back to Nashville, and I'll go to my boys' game on Friday night. And then as soon as their game's over, I'll fly back to wherever game day is, and then I'll do game day in the morning, and then sometimes I'll stay if game day and the game I'm calling are in the same location, but many times after game day, I'll go quickly to an FBO, and I'll have to fly to wherever the Saturday night game is, and then just continue to repeat that week after week.
You're a rock star. Dad of the year, Kirk. Dad of the year. You don't look tired at all on Saturday morning. You got to be dead. You got to be dead.
No, man, I'll tell you, when you have boys, if you have boys when they get older and they're playing on Friday nights, it's just once in a lifetime. It's different because there are weeks where I can't. Like last week, we were in Eugene, Oregon, and I can't get all the way back. So luckily they do have, their school has a TV station where it allows you to at least watch the game online. But it's different from actually being there. And if your kids have a big moment and you're not there, it's like, that sucked. I wish I would have been there. So it's a big sacrifice. But I don't know. I just feel like I got to be there. So I'll do whatever it takes to be there.
Well, the college football world and the fans everywhere appreciate you, man. Your brain is an incredible one. You're so smooth at calling games. You're so smooth. You have like your third or fourth pairing in the booth right now with you. How do you get so well adjusted to the guy that you're calling games with? Because it's something that you are very good at. And not after watching, and I know that this is somebody you work with, so I can't say it, but watching a football game that happens on the nights of Mondays, it's tough to hear people call those games. So listening to you transition with new color guys or play-by-play guys is absolutely incredible. Do you have somebody you like in there the most, or how does that work? Do you guys hang out and have beers together? What is it?
Yeah, it's honestly, and I think you'll see this as you continue to do different broadcasting. To me, I'm a big advocate of finding time to hang out. So if in my case, I worked with Mike Tirico, who I consider, one of the best in the business, and that's who I broke in with. And I worked with Brent Musburger and Chris Fowler. I'm real big on building a natural chemistry or natural rapport with the guy, that you're not faking it when you're on TV, but you can just kind of hang and, have a few beers on a Friday night or Thursday night or whatever you're doing, going to have a nice meal. And just kind of getting to know the person over time and starting to build a very natural rapport like you would with anybody, you might become friends with. And I really think that if you can do that, it has a way of transitioning on TV where you're not trying to be friendly with each other. You can just kind of, because of that time you spent together, you kind of naturally get there. So that's my theory anyway. And I think if you can do that, tough thing is if you're working with somebody and you can't create that, then I think you're on TV and you're trying to portray that, hey, we get along, and I think it's a lot tougher job if you're in that position as opposed to just hanging out like you and I right now, just sitting here talking about sports and having a good time.
All right, I know you got to go. You're a very busy man. Who's going to win the national championship?
I mean, is that Alabama right now with the way Tua is playing like a video game?
They're unstoppable. They got a $15 million dining hall, Kirk. I mean, they are unstoppable.
They're freaks. I mean, they're just at a different level. And honestly, I mean, Tua takes them to a whole different level. Before the season started, I said, this is about to be the next 2 years, and he's already won, I don't know how many championships, 5 or whatever. It's about to be his 2 best teams he's ever had in 18 and 19, because they're no longer going to beat you with his defense and field position and special teams and running the football and kind of almost playing not to lose at the quarterback position, managing the game. Now they're going to be able to just dice you up with the quarterback. And sure enough, that's where they look like they're headed, not just this year, but in case you and I don't have a chance to talk for next year, put me down for Alabama again.
Hey, Kirk, I appreciate it. You know that Tua guy looks a lot like Pat White. If you watch him play, he looks a lot. He and Pat White look eerily similar to each other whenever they're playing. It's awesome to watch, and you're awesome to watch on TV in the morning, at night. Everything you're doing for your family is incredible, ladies and gentlemen. And hey, don't be pushing for that goddamn NCAA game to come back so you can have another gig. Okay?
Come on, man, we got to get that back.
Yeah,
we missed that game.
I saw you pushing that.
I'll do it for free. I just wanted to come back. I miss playing that game. We used to put in so many hours. Didn't you play that when you were in college?
No, I don't play video games, Kirk. I play real life. I ain't a nerd, Kirk. I'm joking. Yes, everybody played that game. It was awesome. It was absolutely beautiful. O'Bannon or whatever kind of sent that all down and sinking.
Ruined it.
Yeah.
Right.
Financial fair stuff. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, the face and voice of college football. Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us, Kirk. You're the man.
Yeah, man. Great talking to you.
You too. Kirk Herbstreit. What a human. Thank you, boss.
You got it, bud. Anytime.